Our story begins with a guy named Varvatos, an undefeated demon lord feared across the entire world. This man was so ridiculously overpowered that nobody could even touch him. He was sitting at the top of the world, and somehow still felt dead inside. Because he was too strong, life became painfully boring. At this point, he just wanted someone to beat him up for once, just so he could feel alive again. But the problem was, anyone strong enough to challenge him had already been sent straight to the afterlife. Even his closest friend, the only person who truly understood him, was gone, leaving Varvatos completely alone. So after thinking it over, he decided to do something insane. Reincarnate into the future and try living a peaceful, happy life. No more saving the world, no more ruling everything, just a normal guy living a normal life. And just like that, the mighty demon lord performed a reincarnation ritual and was reborn as an ordinary human child named Ard Meteor. 10 years pass in the blink of an eye, and today is Ard's 10th birthday. On the outside, he looks like a happy little kid smiling next to his birthday cake. But inside that childish body is the soul of an ancient demon lord. Ard quickly realizes a brutal truth. Magic in this era has fallen off hard. Compared to his golden age, this is a massive downgrade. It's like using futuristic tech, then being forced back to a brick phone. Even though he's disappointed by how weak this era has become, Ard keeps training seriously. Every day, he practices combat and magic, hoping he can find at least a tiny bit of excitement in this painfully average world. Then one day, his parents ask him about his dream, and Ard proudly declares that he wants to make friends with everyone. Sounds simple, right? Yeah, not for a guy whose entire personality used to be fighting people. Hearing kids playing outside, Ard runs over excitedly, stands awkwardly in the corner, and just stares at them, waiting for friendship to happen. But with that terrifying face and those intense eyes, he looks like he's about to commit a crime. The kids panic and run like they just saw a ghost. After his stand still and wait for love plan completely fails, Ard switches to direct attack mode. But the moment he sees girls, he freezes up, turns pale, and starts sweating buckets. The girls take one look at this walking red flag and quickly back away. But Ard refuses to give up. He chases after them, begging them to be his friends, and even offers to share half his kingdom if they agree to hang out with him. The kids are completely stunned, probably wondering which mental hospital he escaped from. So they run away, leaving Ard alone in the wind. Frustrated by his cruel destiny, handsome, talented, and still friendless, Ard retreats into the forest to take his anger out on nature. Later that afternoon, while Ard is sitting there questioning his entire social life, his neighbor Allhide gives him advice. Act calm and polite, and friendship will come naturally. Ard hears this like it's divine wisdom from heaven. His eyes light up, and he immediately goes to test it. His parents start getting worried because their son is suddenly acting even weirder than usual. Meanwhile, Ard takes the advice way too literally, moving and speaking like some over-the-top nobleman, making everyone deeply uncomfortable. And of course, he gets rejected again. So our depressed little demon lord goes back into the forest to bully some poor monsters. Just as he's about to attack, he hears a strange noise and discovers a small white-haired girl beating up a wolf monster with a staff. Meanwhile, from behind the bushes, Allhide explains to Ard's parents that his daughter used to be bullied by other kids. After being insulted and mocked, she closed off her heart and decided monsters were better company than people. Jack and Carla hear this and completely understand. Honestly, moving to the countryside for her sake was a pretty solid parenting move. At the same time, the white-haired girl drops a lightning spell onto the wolf and shatters it into pieces. Rough day to be a monster. When she sees Ard, she gets scared, but he is actually impressed by her violence and starts praising her natural talent. When she doesn't respond, Ard assumes she hates empty compliments, so he immediately changes tactics. He suddenly acts like a professional coach, saying her technique is still immature and needs more training. But instead of being impressed, the girl looks absolutely devastated, sending Ard into full panic mode as he blurts out that he just wants to be friends. Since she doesn't run away, Ard takes that as a green light and starts rambling about how they're both lonely and strong, so they'll obviously make the perfect friendship duo. Then the girl suddenly bursts into tears, calls him an idiot who doesn't understand anything about her, and runs away, leaving Ard frozen in place. After that, she runs to her father and cries in his arms, and Ard sees the whole thing. After learning she is Allhide's adopted daughter, Irina, Ard decides to follow her around like a desperate puppy until she becomes his friend. He tries everything, from giving Irina her favorite flowers to bragging that he knows everything about her, even where every tiny detail on her body is. Being creepy while thinking he's charming, Ard gets rewarded with a fireball to the face before Irina slams the door shut. That night, Irina secretly goes into the forest to farm monsters and blow off steam. Ard follows her like an unwanted shadow and tells her to go home. He even tries flirting by saying she's more beautiful than the full moon. But all he gets back is terrifying silence. Back home, Ard lies awake thinking about his endless chain of failures, remembering how even in his past life, his attempts to win people over usually ended in cold rejection. Right then, chaos breaks out outside as monsters suddenly swarm in and start attacking people. Ard is about to step in, but Jack appears like a hero, slices through the monsters in seconds, and tells Ard to hide because the dungeon core on the mountain has gone out of control. Suddenly, Allhide rushes over in panic, begging for help because Irina is still trapped on the mountain. Ard's heart sinks. He immediately thinks it's his fault because he kept following her and pushed her to hide up there. So he promises to find her and bring her home safely, then blasts off like a missile. Meanwhile, Irina is surrounded by monsters, and the leader mocks her, saying the girl who hates bullies is now getting bullied by karma. Tells her to call her friends for help except, she doesn't have any. Irina gives up in despair, tired of living such a lonely life. But when the monsters attack, her survival instinct kicks in, and she unconsciously cries out for help. Boom! Ard appears like a superhero, lands with a huge crash, and declares that he's here to protect her. Irina panics and tells him to run, but to Ard, these monsters are basically tutorial enemies. The monsters attack without knowing who they're messing with, and Ard crushes them with pure magical pressure. Even the leader gets deleted before it can escape. After cleaning up the trash, Ard turns back, expecting thanks, but Irina grabs him by the collar and demands to know why he saved her. Ard looks into her eyes and understands her loneliness better than anyone. He promises he will never betray her like her old friends did. Irina tearfully admits she's mean, stubborn, and foolish, but Ard doesn't care. In fact, he's happy just to talk to her. Under the moonlight, Ard swears in the name of Demon Lord Varvatos that he will be Irina's true friend, marking a major turning point in his new life. Time flies, and a few years later, Ard has grown up, but his talent for oversleeping is still undefeated. While he's sleeping peacefully, he nearly jumps out of his soul when he sees Irina lying right beside him. Turns out she came all the way there to invite him to apply to LaVille Magic Academy, so the two pack up and head to the capital. There, they meet Headmaster Gold, an old man who looks respectable but gives off serious schemer energy. The moment Gold sees Ard and Irina, his eyes light up like headlights. He praises them as rare talents with an aura far beyond normal people. Ard finds this suspicious because Irina is from a noble family, sure, but he's supposed to be just some random village kid. Turns out Gold heard they once wiped out the monsters attacking their village, so he lets them skip the practical exam and only take the written test. Ard worries the test might be difficult but still takes it seriously like a model student. On results day, Irina's name is proudly on the board, but Ard can't find his anywhere. The cold sweat starts falling. Then Irina points to the failure board, where Ard's name is sitting there with a beautiful 0. The former demon lord is now experiencing academic trauma. Suddenly, Gold runs over and starts praising Ard like a divine being, explaining that he got 0 because the grading machine couldn't handle his answers. Apparently, Ard's answers were filled with ancient high-level magic knowledge far beyond this outdated education system. Basically, he was so smart the machine rage quit. Gold also reveals that Ard is the son of the great mage Jack and the sorceress Carla. They were two heroes who defeated an evil god 10 years ago, while Irina's father, Allhide, is also a heroic noble. So yeah, turns out everyone here has legendary family connections. Totally normal school stuff. Once class begins, Ard and Irina are surrounded by students trying to befriend them. But of course, not everyone is happy about the new stars. Then Ard spots something ugly. A spoiled noble boy with perfect hair bullying a shy pink-haired girl. Irina immediately steps in. The noble boy is Zeraldo Spencer, son of a duke. He throws his family name around and insults the pink-haired girl, Ginny, saying a servant has no right to speak. Ard gets angry seeing his future friend insulted and demands Zeraldo apologize. Zeraldo loses it and challenges Ard to a duel. Irina whispers that Zeraldo is considered one of the youngest geniuses in the country, which only makes him even more arrogant. Just then, their teacher Olivia enters, and Ard nearly has a heart attack when he realizes she was once one of his 4 heavenly kings. Unexpectedly, Olivia allows the duel to happen, probably because she wants free entertainment. The match begins. Zeraldo attacks first, throwing out flashy moves, but Ard casually blocks everything with magic without even chanting. Zeraldo gets nervous but keeps talking big, saying Ard is decent, but only because of his parents. Then he shouts and fires a spell called Mega Laser at Ard. Ard freezes, not out of fear, but because he's trying not to laugh. Turns out this dramatic Mega Laser is just a low-level beam with a fancy name. Ard calls him out for dressing up basic magic like it's a final boss attack. Iraldo gets mad and fires an even bigger beam, but to Ard, it's still basically a mosquito bite with special effects. Ard fires back with a real high-grade Giga Laser, a massive pillar of light that swallows Iraldo's spell and makes him instantly beg for his life. Ard walks over, pats his shoulder, and warns him not to confuse cheap knockoffs with the real thing. Irina happily runs over and hugs Ard, then warns Iraldo never to bully anyone again, especially Ginny. Olivia then walks up and calmly asks how Ard used a massive attack spell and a defensive spell at the same time, something a normal village kid should never know. Everyone is shocked, while Ard starts sweating like crazy and makes up an excuse. Luckily, Olivia lets him go for now, but says they'll talk later. For the next lesson, Olivia has the students form teams of 3 to hunt black wolves and bring back their pelts. Everyone panics because they're dangerous B-rank monsters. But Olivia gives Ard a meaningful look and says this mission should be easy, so he nervously drags Irina and Ginny along. The scene shifts to a dark forest, where the 3 of them begin their first real mission. The moment they enter Black Wolf territory, the creepy atmosphere makes Ginny turn pale, her legs shaking like crazy. Before they get far, they run into a pack of black wolves, fangs out and drooling like they just found the lunch menu. Ginny screams and wants to run, but Ard and Irina are way too battle-hungry for that. Ard casually waves his hand, and Irina follows up with a fireball. Just like that, the entire pack of B-rank monsters gets burned to ashes before they even understand why they died. They celebrate for about 2 seconds before Ard realizes the mission was to collect pelts. And now the pelts are completely roasted. The group stares at the pile of ashes, while Ginny starts tearing up and apologizing, feeling useless because all she did was panic in the background. Seeing this, Ard decides to act like a senior mentor and help her regain her confidence. He knows Ginny is a succubus, a race born with extremely high magical potential, but years of bullying from Iraldo have crushed her confidence. Just then, another monster appears, and Ard immediately treats it as the perfect chance for an emergency magic lesson. He introduces a special technique he created himself called script magic. The name sounds simple, but the results are completely broken. Ard tells the girls to imagine a magic circle in their minds and convert mana in the air into energy, like using free Wi-Fi instead of your own data. This method is fast, powerful, and saves mana, letting them fire spells almost like a machine gun. Ginny is shocked, but with encouragement from Ard and Irina, she closes her eyes and focuses. And boom! Ginny creates a magic circle in her mind and blasts the monster down. She is overjoyed and jumps into Ard's arms, looking like she just won the lottery. Irina sees this free romance scene and immediately gets annoyed, dragging Ard away to go skin another wolf before dinner gets cancelled. But bad luck strikes again. While walking, the 3 of them fall straight into a hidden underground chamber. They land safely, but before they can recover, they find a massive minotaur standing in front of them, huge as a building and holding a giant hammer. This is the dungeon boss, and somehow they have dropped directly into its room. The raging bull roars so loudly the whole place shakes, then charges at them. Ard sees this as a golden teaching opportunity and starts shouting instructions to his 2 students. Lesson 1 of Script Magic in Close Combat. Use attacks to create distance. Lesson 2. Find the enemy's opening, then hit where it hurts. The Minotaur is huge but slow, so Ard and Irina run circles around it until it trips and crashes into the ground. Now comes the finishing moment. Ard turns to Ginny and tells her to land the final blow. Ginny trembles as memories of being bullied come flooding back. She always dreamed that some prince or great demon lord would come and save her from everything. But Ard snaps her out of that fantasy, telling her she has to face her fear and change her own destiny. Gathering all her courage, Ginny pours her power into one final spell, screams, and blasts straight through the Minotaur. The giant monster collapses and disappears into dust. Ard and Irina applaud her, and Ginny breaks down in tears, feeling for the first time that she actually has worth. After collecting their reward properly this time, with actual pelts, the 3 happily return to Olivia. But because Ginny is too excited to control her mouth, she accidentally blurts out that Ard taught her script magic. Ard starts sweating bullets, quickly covers her mouth, and tries to explain to Olivia that Ginny misspoke because he's just a clueless country boy. Right then, the walking disaster Iraldo shows up again. Seeing Ginny with Ard and Irina, He insults her as a useless parasite and says Ard must be suffering by carrying dead weight. But today's Ginny is not the same girl as before. She no longer lowers her head in silence. Ginny glares at Geraldo and firmly tells him to take back what he said about Ard. Geraldo is shocked that a servant girl dares talk back, then mocks her, asking if she's fallen for Ard and is trying to compete with Irina. Before he can keep talking, Ginny slaps him so hard he sees fireworks, and Irina finishes the combo by dumping a trash can over his head. Humiliated beyond repair, Geraldo runs away like a defeated clown. Ard watches the two girls defend him and feels genuinely touched. Friendship really does hit different. But before Ard can enjoy the moment, Olivia calls him back for that private conversation he was desperately trying to avoid. And so, disaster number 82 begins. The scene shifts to the headmaster's office, where the tension is thick enough to cut. Headmaster Gold begs Ard to join the upcoming battle event and put on a flashy performance in front of the queen. Ard refuses, saying he only wants to live a normal life and has no interest in fame. When begging doesn't work, Gold plays his real card. The academy needs money, and Ard is basically the golden goose he can use to impress the royal family. Ard is completely disappointed. The noble art of magic, meant to help people, is now being used as a fundraising tool. Just as he's about to refuse, Olivia throws in a terrifying comment, saying he sounds just like a certain little brother of hers from long ago, the same one who reincarnated and left everyone behind. So if he refuses, he'd better be ready. Hearing that threat dripping with danger, Ard realizes he is stuck between a rock and a very angry former general. If he refuses, he might get expelled or physically educated. But if he accepts, he risks exposing his insane power. In the end, Ard buys time and asks for a chance to think it over. While his head is still hurting, Ginny comes running over and asks him out on a date. Ard wants to go, but worries he might be misunderstanding things and that Ginny only feels grateful, not interested. But even a great hero cannot resist those sparkling eyes. So Ard immediately says yes. Ginny is so happy that she even changes how she addresses him, switching from polite Ard to a much sweeter and more affectionate version. Just when the mood is getting spicy, Irina shows up like the ultimate third wheel and demands to come along. Irina innocently says she wants to build Ard a whole harem so he can enjoy himself. Except she has absolutely no idea what a harem actually means. Ginny nearly chokes hearing that, then drags Irina into a corner for an emergency lecture on the very not innocent meaning behind that word. Once Irina understands, her face turns bright red, and she violently refuses to accept the idea of sharing Ard with anyone. The next day, the chaotic three-person date begins. Ard, Irina, and Ginny meet up at the agreed spot. Both girls show up looking gorgeous, practically competing for attention, and Ard's brain almost crashes. The three of them go to a theater to watch a play about the legendary demon lord Varvatos. Ard sits in the audience looking miserable, realizing he actually paid money to watch people butcher his own life story. On stage, the actor playing the demon lord is weirdly soft, while Lydia is portrayed as a gentle, sweet girl leaning on his shoulder. Ard wants to slam his head into the seat. In his memories, Lydia was a battle-crazy walking disaster, not some shy flower girl. History really was written by people who had no idea what they were talking about. While Ard is suffering through this historical fanfiction, Ginny gets emotional and clings tightly to his arm. Her succubus instincts kick in, and she presses a little too close, making Ard freeze like his soul just left his body. Irina sees this from the other side, gets instantly jealous, and moves in close too, trying to claim her territory. Now Ard is trapped between two different kinds of pressure, both blessed and cursed at the same time, while desperately fighting off dangerous thoughts. After the play ends, Ginny leads the group out for lunch. Somehow, their route takes them straight through the red light district. Ard panics and immediately covers Irina's eyes, trying to protect her innocent soul from corruption. Then, with his sharp hearing, Ard picks up a suspicious conversation from a dark alley. A group of black-robed people are plotting to control the queen using a magic circle to imprison her. Ard smells danger, and his hero instincts immediately kick in, so he decides to follow them. The two girls notice and insist on coming too. Ard agrees but makes them promise to be careful. The group sneaks into a hidden underground room and finds a huge glowing magic circle. But while they're spying, the black-robed men catch them. Their leader laughs like a cheap villain and plans to capture all three of them for experiments. He launches a burning spell at Ard, thinking the kid will be roasted alive. But Ard just stands there, dusts off his clothes, and casually destroys their magic circle like it's made of crackers. The black-robed men panic, while Ard is in a hurry to get back to his date and has no patience for side quests. So he switches into boss mode and wipes out the small fries in the blink of an eye. Seeing things go south, the leader reveals his true form as an ugly demon, breaks through the wall, and flies away. Ard watches him escape with a smirk, then flies after him, leaving both girls staring in confusion. Wait, he can fly? The demon thinks he got away, but Ard catches up and burns him just enough to ruin his confidence. Cornered, the demon dives down, grabs a little girl as a hostage, and threatens to kill her if Ard comes closer. The people nearby scream in panic. Ard calmly lands and declares that, as the son of the great mage Jack, he will punish this evil himself. The demon laughs and tightens his grip on the hostage. But suddenly, the little girl in his arms vanishes like smoke. Turns out Ard had already fooled him with an illusion, and the real girl is safely back with her mother. Then Ard raises one finger and gathers light for a spell called P.O. Babel, a beam that pierces the sky. The demon gets erased permanently, without even getting time for a final dramatic line. The crowd erupts in applause, cheering for Ard like a true hero. The next day, the three of them are summoned by the queen. Ard looks up and immediately freezes. The queen is stunning. She's so beautiful that Ard forgets how blinking works and almost starts drooling. Headmaster Gold scolds him for being rude. But the queen simply laughs and says men being enchanted by beauty is just nature, so she doesn't mind. Irina suddenly greets the queen like an old acquaintance. Turns out they really do know each other. The queen then says she will reward Ard for saving her and defeating the demon. When asked what the reward is, she smiles mischievously and says she will take him as her husband. And together they'll make beautiful children. That sentence hits like lightning from a clear sky. Irina immediately screams in protest. Ginny's eyes light up as she suggests the queen should just join Ard's harem too. Meanwhile, Ard's soul has left the building. He is way too young to be forced into marriage. Seeing everyone panic, the queen laughs and says she was only joking, though her eyes look way too serious. In the end, she grants Ard the title of Pentagon-class mage, a very high-ranking honor. Irina and Ginny also receive titles so they can officially accompany him. Ard uses this chance to ask the queen for more funding for the academy as thanks to Headmaster Gold. This noble move makes the queen like him even more, and she approves the request immediately. But life is never that easy. Ard still gets dragged into the upcoming battle event, while a dark force secretly prepares a monster to face him. After receiving his title, Ard's reputation at school explodes overnight. The next day, a strange female student stops him to confess her feelings. She acts shy, but her eyes are suspiciously dangerous, like she wants to skip every step and go straight to the endgame. Ard politely rejects her, saying friendship is fine, but romance is a bit much right now. The girl's fake sweet act starts to crack, but before she can try anything, Irina appears. With an aura burning like a super scion, Irina glares at the girl so hard she instantly loses courage and runs away. Ard thanks her, but Irina gets upset and storms off, completely blinded by jealousy. Meanwhile, in the headmaster's office, Gold is cooking up another scheme. Even though he already got funding from the queen, he still wants Ard in the battle event to boost his fame and set him up as the youngest instructor in academy history. But the public won't accept some random commoner suddenly becoming a teacher, so Ard needs to prove himself with results. A teacher named Jessica accepts the mission of convincing Ard and the girls to join, promising she'll reel them in. That night, Ard is lying in bed, trying to figure out how to make things right with Irina, when his door slowly opens. Ginny steps in wearing a very revealing night outfit that shows off her dangerous curves. As a succubus, Ginny has decided to go big and claim Ard's first time, so she can secure the main wife position. She uses her charm eye on Ard, freezing him in place and leaving him unable to move. Ginny slowly moves closer, ready to devour her helpless prey. But at the most dramatic possible moment, the door slams open. Irina is standing there, holding a pretty dress because she came to make up with him, only to witness this disaster scene. Irina screams and immediately starts beating Ard up. Poor Ard did absolutely nothing and still got punished, while the real culprit, Ginny, just giggles in the background. After a lot of chaos and exhausting explanations, the three finally sit down to talk properly. Irina blushes and admits she dressed up because Ard's mother gave her some very questionable advice about using feminine charm to win a man's heart. Ginny can't hold back her laughter. She starts teasing Irina about her innocence and her flat figure, saying that with that childish look, she has no chance of seducing Ard. Hit right in her deepest insecurity, Irina turns red with anger and challenges Ginny to a duel to settle things once and for all. Irina says if she wins, Ginny must stay away from Ard. Ginny fires back with an insane penalty. If Irina loses, she has to run around the capital half-naked and eat a pastry through her nose. Hearing this cursed bet, Ard starts sweating and immediately stops them, ordering both girls to apologize before he cancels dinner. Just as the two girls are still fuming, Jessica appears like she was sent by fate. She expertly manipulates the situation, saying the best way to decide the winner is to join the battle event. Whoever gets the better result wins, and if they do well, it will help Ard become an instructor. Irina refuses at first because she doesn't want Ard working too hard, but once Jessica mentions the cool instructor uniform, both girls instantly agree. Apparently, cute outfits are the strongest negotiation tactic. And so, the days of hellish training begin. Ard becomes the unwilling coach for both girls. The day of the battle event arrives, and the atmosphere is as intense as a World Cup final. The opening match features a fighter named Lemming. She actually fights pretty well, making a strong comeback and impressing Allhide in the audience. Meanwhile, Jack and Carla seem more focused on checking out the crowd. When it's Irina's turn, Ard secretly prays she loses, so he won't have to become an instructor. First, Irina is pushed back hard and gets beaten around the arena. But when she looks up and sees Ard's worried face, it's like someone plugged her into a power station. The power of love awakens. Irina roars, unleashes a powerful spell, and blasts her opponent out of the ring, winning dramatically while Ard dies inside. After winning, Irina heads backstage and meets Ginny. The two girls high-five and promise to reach the finals together so they can fight over Ard's heart. The matches continue, and both Irina and Ginny steamroll their opponents like walking tanks. Finally, fate sets up the ultimate showdown. Two best friends, one championship, and way too much romantic tension. The crowd cheers, while Allhide feels proud of his daughter but also worried about how abnormally strong the girls have become thanks to Ard's training. Olivia sits in the VIP area with a mysterious smile, clearly waiting for the chaos to unfold. But before the two girls can start throwing hands, a massive explosion suddenly shakes the arena. The sky darkens, and a swarm of demons appears out of nowhere, tearing the battlefield apart. Jessica finally reveals her true colors, leading Irina and Ginny away to fight the monsters, separating them from Ard and the adults. In a hidden corner of the academy, while Irina is busy wiping out small fry, Ginny gets hit and falls into serious danger. Irina rushes in to save her friend, but a much stronger enemy suddenly appears and blocks their escape. Allhide arrives just in time to protect his daughter, launching powerful attacks that push the enemy back. But the relief doesn't last long. Jessica suddenly stabs him from behind with a deadly sneak attack. Jessica then reveals her true identity: the Mad Dragon King Elzard, a legendary monster that once nearly destroyed the world thousands of years ago. Elzard reveals her real goal isn't destroying the school. She came to kidnap Irina for a dark sacrificial ritual. Seeing this nightmare unfold, Ginny uses all her strength to attack Elzard, trying to create a chance for Irina to escape. But a student's power can't compare to an ancient dragon king. Ginny is quickly defeated and nearly killed, only for Irina to stop Elzard at the last second. Realizing the gap in power is far too huge, and not wanting her friend to die, Irina surrenders herself to Elzard on the condition that Ginny is spared. Elzard smirks and agrees, then transforms into a giant dragon, grabs Irina, and flies away, leaving Ginny screaming helplessly in the ruins. After Ard finishes cleaning up the random monsters elsewhere, he finally receives the terrible news. He rushes back in a panic, but it's already too late. The battlefield is nothing but wreckage. Allhide has just regained consciousness after being treated by the healers. With a devastated expression, he explains what happened and reveals a shocking secret about Irina's true identity. Irina isn't just the daughter of a familiar noble family. She carries the bloodline of the Laville family, descendants connected to an ancient evil god. That is exactly why Elzard kidnapped her, to use her as the key ingredient in a world-ending summoning ritual. Headmaster Gold turns pale after hearing this. He warns everyone that the Mad Dragon King Elzard is so terrifying that humanity may have no way to stop her. But Ard, being Ard, reacts with pure main character energy. He doesn't care what kind of monster the enemy is, and he doesn't care what bloody past Irina's bloodline carries. The only thing in his mind is that his dearest friend is in danger, and he will bring her back even if he has to flatten that dragon's entire lair. The overwhelming aura coming from Ard is so powerful that even Jack, his great mage father, proudly nods at his son's resolve. Allhide is moved to tears by Ard's sincerity. He grants Ard special access to the royal treasure vault to help save Irina, while also telling him about the fear and loneliness she has carried for years. Ard listens silently, now focused on only one goal: crush Elzard and bring Irina home for the dinner he promised. Meanwhile, in Elzard's gloomy lair, poor Irina is going through the most terrifying moment of her life. In a nightmare so vivid it might as well be in 4K, her greatest fear appears: Ard discovering her evil god bloodline and abandoning her with cold disgust. Irina cries desperately in the dream, chasing after his back, but only darkness and loneliness answer her. She wakes up in shock and finds herself tied up like a festival roast, ready to be used as a sacrifice. Standing before her is Elzard, laughing like every overconfident villain ever. Elzard proudly explains her twisted plan. She needs Irina's noble blood to activate the disgusting mass in the corner of the room. That pile of flesh, stitched together from the remains of evil gods, looks like medical waste that gains sentience. She says Irina will be the main ingredient to revive a pillar of the evil god, bringing the world back to chaos as revenge for her ancient defeat. Even though Irina is terrified, she still talks tough, fully believing Ard will come and smash this whole place apart. Hearing Ard's name, Elzard laughs mockingly. She admits the boy has some talent, but compared to an ancient being like her, he's just a tiny little rookie. Then Elzard goes straight for the psychological damage, saying once Ard learns about Irina's cursed blood, he'll throw her away like trash, just like in her nightmare. Back at the academy, the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Ard is about to leave when Ginny comes rushing over in a panic. The pink-haired girl insists on going with him to help save Irina, but Ard knows this is basically walking into a dragon's den, not a school field trip, so he firmly refuses to keep her safe. Ginny immediately feels useless, thinking she can't do anything to help her friends. Seeing her spiral, Ard gives her a very important mission. Stay behind and prepare a huge feast. He promises he'll bring Irina back before dinner. That promise works like emotional first aid, helping Ginny regain her hope and put all her trust in Ard. Meanwhile, back in Elzard's cave, the disgusting flesh monster starts crawling toward Irina, drooling like a nightmare with teeth. Just as Irina closes her eyes and prepares for the worst, a massive boom shakes the entire place. When the dust clears, the monster has completely vanished, and Ard stands there like a god who just clocked in. To clear the trash quickly, Ard goes all out and casts 9 high-level spells at once, turning the monsters into dust in seconds. After that insane entrance, Ard walks over and frees Irina, who immediately breaks down crying in his arms. Elzard watches this romantic reunion with pure irritation, but she also gets excited after sensing Ard's monstrous magical power. Ard, however, has zero respect for this expired dragon and bluntly calls Elzard small fry who has no chance against him. Furious at being insulted by a kid, Elzard reveals Irina's true name and her evil god bloodline to the entire world through broadcast magic. She believes that once this secret is exposed, Ard will reject Irina like everyone else. Back at the shelter, Allhide tearfully tells Jack about the pain of hiding a bloodline hated by the whole world. But Elzard made one huge mistake. Ard does not care whether Irina comes from angels, demons, or anything in between. As a reincarnated demon lord, he understands humanity's hypocritical nonsense better than anyone. Ard declares that Irina is kind, brave, and worth protecting. As for her bloodline, to him it means absolutely nothing. That statement leaves Elzard stunned, while Irina's heart completely melts. Done talking, Elzard roars and unleashes a devastating lightning attack. Ard calmly pulls out a black spear, a top-tier anti-magic weapon that can neutralize lightning spells. He spins the spear like a pro and blocks every attack from the dragon. While Elzard is still shocked, Ard blasts her in the face with a massive fireball, making the old dragon feel that one deep in her soul. And he doesn't stop there. Ard rushes in and smashes her with the spear shaft, sending Elzard flying into the darkness. Just when it looks over, Elzard returns at terrifying speed in a berserk state, determined to crush Ard. Realizing things are getting serious, Ard creates a powerful barrier around Irina and activates a weapon spirit summoning spell. The figure of Lydia appears with overwhelming dignity, helping Ard form the ultimate defense against Elzard's assault. After blocking the attack, Lydia transforms into a sharp sword in Ard's hand. With her 1,000 years of experience, Lydia realizes Elzard is trying to activate a massive underground magic formation to blow up the entire area. Elzard keeps playing mind games, saying Irina will eventually betray Ard because human hearts can never be trusted. But just as Ard wavers for a moment, Irina's voice brings him back. Ard activates a combined hero and demon lord state, merging both powers into one blazing aura. He understands Elzard's loneliness, but he will never forgive anyone who harms his friends. Elzard stubbornly unleashes one final desperate attack, but Ard is faster. With Lydia's sword filled with magic, he releases a slash that tears through space itself, giving Elzard a one-way ticket out of existence. When the battle ends and the dust clears, Ard turns to Irina and asks the most important question. Now that she knows everything, does she still want to be his friend? Irina smiles brightly and nods over and over. Even though her secret has been revealed, their friendship is now stronger than ever. Irina silently promises herself that she'll become stronger, so she can stand beside Ard instead of being a burden. Meanwhile, in a dark dungeon somewhere else, a girl named Sylphie is training like her life depends on it. She summons a sword and slices off a giant monster's head in one clean move. With iron will, Sylphie dreams of becoming Lydia's strength and carrying the burden so no one has to sacrifice themselves again. Then suddenly, Sylphie sniffs the air and notices a suspicious smell, only to realize the smell is coming from her. Turns out she has been training for 3 straight years and somehow forgot to bathe even once. At this point, she is basically a biological weapon. Sylphie happily runs out of the dungeon and breathes fresh air, only to be shocked by how much the outside world has changed. Then a mysterious fully covered figure appears, claps, and congratulates her for completing her training after 3,000 years. Sylphie freezes completely, looking like her brain just blue-screened, because from her point of view, she was only in there for 3 years. The mysterious figure explains that time flows differently inside the dungeon. One day in there equals thousands of days outside. Not wanting to look like a clueless country bumpkin, Sylphie immediately pretends she totally knew that all along. The mysterious figure then reveals that he, Sylphie, and Lydia were once loyal servants of Demon Lord Varvatos. When Sylphie asks about their former master, she receives the bad news that the Demon Lord died long ago. But the good news is, he has reincarnated as a boy named Ard and is now living peacefully while pretending to be a normal commoner. The mysterious figure tells Sylphie that if she wants to know about Lydia and find her master again, she should go find Ard immediately. Back at LaVille Academy, Headmaster Gold, the fox of the education world, is cooking up another money-making scheme. He announces to all the students that next month, the Academy will hold a massive festival to celebrate its 100th anniversary. But the real goal is to welcome rich VIP guests and politely shake donations out of their wallets. This time, instead of forcing Ard into another violent tournament, Gold decides to make him perform in a stage play, using his handsome face as customer bait. Irina and Ginny's eyes light up at the idea of a performance, while Ard reluctantly agrees because he doesn't want to upset the teacher who keeps covering for him. Seeing his golden goose cooperate, Gold gets excited, fully convinced the festival will attract visitors and money like crazy. But of course, life never gives free meals. Gold then pulls out an anonymous threat letter he recently received. Threat letters arrive every year from random troublemakers, but this one is signed Gaku, a name that sounds painfully dangerous. Using the classic, "I only trust you" excuse, Gold dumps festival security duty onto Ard, turning him into both unpaid security and the unwilling lead actor. Irina and Ginny feel bad that Ard is being overworked and insist on helping him, but Ard immediately rejects the idea, worried the two girls might get dragged into danger and force him to rescue them again. Little does he know, the real reason they want to follow him is because they want to admire his cool, serious mission look. Down bad doesn't even begin to describe it. Since the academy is huge, Ard can't patrol everything alone. So Olivia also starts recruiting extra help. While Ginny excitedly suggests their class perform a play about the legendary demon Lord Varvatos, the classroom door suddenly gets kicked open, and Sylphie storms in like a forest gremlin on a mission. The moment she sees Ard, she charges straight at him, ready for violence, forcing Olivia to smack her on the head to restore order. Turns out, even after training for 3,000 years in dungeon time, Sylphie's chaotic personality and innocent stupidity haven't evolved even a little. Sylphie stares at Ard and nods like a chicken pecking grain, fully convinced he is the reincarnation of Demon Lord Varvatos. She starts firing questions about Lydia and the evil gods, leaving the entire class staring at Ard like they just heard forbidden lore. Ard quickly plays dumb, putting on his best, "I know nothing. I am innocent" face and denying everything. Even Ginny, the biggest dreamer in the room, actually believes Ard might be the Demon Lord, despite his denial, leaving him completely speechless. When questioning doesn't work, Sylphie switches to her usual violent method, threatening to strip him right there if he doesn't confess. When violence still fails, she moves to personal attacks, calling Ard pathetic, cowardly, and a turtle hiding in his shell. At that point, Irina, as the future boss of the household, cannot sit still while her man gets insulted. She stands up and declares that she will duel this rude wild child on Ard's behalf. Sylphie freezes for a moment because she sees a bit of Lydia's fierce presence in Irina. Irina proudly introduces herself as Ard's best friend, Premium Friend Zone Edition, and says everyone else is just regular background friendship. Sylphie is impressed and asks to be friends, but Irina rejects her on the spot, making Sylphie so embarrassed that she demands a death match with Ard instead. Olivia, watching the drama like it's premium entertainment, doesn't stop them at all and even forces Ard to show some manly spirit. With no way out, Ard accepts the challenge while secretly planning how to lose gracefully without revealing his true power. They all head to the training field, where Irina starts cheering and trash-talking for Ard, claiming he only needs 3 seconds to beat Sylphie. That comment hits Sylphie like a slap to the face, making her furious enough to swear she'll crush Ard into paste. The moment the referee starts the match, Sylphie launches forward at insane speed, moving too fast for normal eyes to follow. Overconfident, she thinks Ard is scared of her 1,000-year swordsmanship and mocks him, saying even if he reincarnated 1,000,000 times, he still couldn't beat her. Ard feels that one personally, but keeps a cool head and tries to act like he's losing on purpose. Unfortunately, his Demon Lord combat instincts are too deeply built in. When Sylphie attacks his side, his body reacts automatically and sends her flying. And just like that, Ard wins instantly, completely ruining his own plan to fake a loss. But Sylphie is the kind of person who loses and immediately chooses extra violence. Refusing to accept defeat, she summons a giant black sword radiating poisonous energy and decides to settle things for real. Ard realizes this is bad and quickly creates a barrier to push back the dangerous attack. Luckily, Olivia jumps in just in time and orders Sylphie to stop, because that sword is spreading poison across the school and endangering the students. Then Irina shows true big sister authority, smacking Sylphie on the head and ordering her to apologize to everyone. Sylphie may be strong as a beast, but emotionally, she is made of glass, so she immediately starts crying. Feeling sorry for her, Irina pats her head and somehow recruits this walking disaster into her team. After that dramatic combat exchange, the class returns to planning the school play. Through a very democratic vote that was definitely not rigged, Ard naturally gets the role of the Demon Lord. Sylphie, in full fangirl mode, votes for Irina to play Lydia, saying no one fits better, while nobody wants to play the evil god because that role feels cursed. In the end, Sylphie volunteers to play the evil god so she can publicly attack Ard on stage. Once the cast is decided, the class moves on to planning festival side activities. Ginny, using the sharp business mind she inherited from her mother, suggests opening a maid cafe to serve the guests. The second she says this, the boys in class start cheering like they just won the lottery, already imagining the girls in maid outfits. Meanwhile, the girls strongly object, calling the outfits too revealing and embarrassing. But Ginny whispers that this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to charm Ard, and the girls instantly make a full 180. Seeing everyone suddenly excited, Ard approves the idea, though deep down, he's slightly worried about how suspicious this whole plan feels. Sylphie complains at first, saying the activity is improper, but once she hears they might win a prize, she reluctantly goes along with it. Unfortunately, Ginny then teases her by saying a flat-chested maid like Sylphie has no chance against the others, making Sylphie explode with anger. Meanwhile, in a dark corner, the masked, mysterious figure watches every move Ard's group makes, smiling ominously as he waits for the coming drama. The next day, Ard and Irina patrol the academy, though honestly it looks more like a food tour in disguise. Thanks to her fame, Irina gets free food shoved at her everywhere she goes, and she happily eats like she owns the festival. But then, boom, a huge explosion erupts from the fried potato stand. And of course, the culprit is none other than Disaster Saint Sylphie. Her reason for blowing up the stand? The old vendor had suspicious eyes, so she randomly decided he must be a demon in disguise. Ard and Irina arrive to find the place wrecked, with the poor old vendor trembling in shock. Just as Ard is about to scold Sylphie, Olivia appears and reveals a shocking truth. This old potato vendor is actually a hidden master. His potato skills are so legendary that even Olivia considers him her teacher. To protect her precious potato supply, Olivia sends Sylphie back to class and bans her from patrol before she destroys the entire school. Irina suggests Sylphie help the others prepare the maid cafe instead. On the way, Irina senses a strange energy coming from the ancient giant tree in the schoolyard. Ard vaguely remembers that his third demon lord self once sealed something there, but he can't remember what it was. He asks Olivia about it, but she dodges the question and refuses to explain. Instead, Olivia drops a bombshell. She secretly registered both herself and Ard for the Sword King battle tournament. Ard nearly passes out and tries to refuse, but Olivia threatens him with serious measures if he runs. So he has no choice but to swallow his pain. Depressed, Ard heads to the classmate cafe, hoping to find even a tiny bit of peace. The moment he enters, he sees pure chaos. Sylphie is furious and about to cut down a creepy customer who touched someone inappropriately. Ard quickly uses magic to send the perverted customer flying out of the cafe. But just as he tries to leave, the entire maid squad surrounds him and keeps him there. Ginny uses her charm eye to force Ard into the VIP seat. The girls compete to bring him food and drinks, but the menu is full of homemade creations that look like they come with a health warning. Sitting in the middle of this flower garden, Ard sweats from embarrassment like he's in a sauna. Then Irina returns from patrol, sees Ard enjoying the service, and immediately gets jealous, scolding him for abandoning his duties. Ginny quickly says they're just serving their dear customer Ard, then asks if Irina is jealous. Irina gets flustered and declares that she can do an even better job. So she rushes to change into a maid outfit, determined to claim Ard for herself, turning the cafe into a battlefield of romance. Sylphie tries to stop the chaos and fails. Ginny laughs in victory, and Ard just wants to sink into the floor. In the middle of this romantic war zone, the school broadcast announces that the Sword King battle will be held tomorrow. The champion's prize will be a replica of a legendary sword. That announcement becomes the spark for a brand new war. Sylphie's eyes light up at the mention of the sword, convinced it might be connected to her beloved senior. Irina also signs up for the tournament. Ginny wants to join too, but Irina instantly knows her best friend is planning to use seductive tricks on Ard during the tournament. Ginny openly declares war, saying this time she'll make Irina eat defeat. Irina fires right back, basically saying, "Bring it on, I'll handle all of you." Their eyes spark like lightning, signaling that a huge battle is waiting for tomorrow. The next morning, the fated day of the Sword King battle finally arrives. The atmosphere at LaVille Academy is hotter than ever. People are packed together like it's the biggest festival of the year. Everyone is fired up, ready to watch some intense, skull-cracking action. On the stage, the announcer screams into the mic, introducing the contestants like a sports commentator on too much caffeine. He hypes up Ard and Irina like legendary superstars, and the crowd goes wild. But when Olivia steps out, he only gives her a lazy introduction, making Sylphie feel painfully sorry for her as Olivia gets completely underhyped. Seeing her past life little sister looking down, Irina pats her shoulder and says titles don't matter. What matters is getting on stage and teaching everyone some manners. And just like expected, the bizarre squad of Ard, Irina, Ginny, and Sylphie turns this prestigious tournament into their personal playground. They tear through the preliminaries like a walk in the park. Their opponents step onto the stage, barely get time to pose, and immediately get deleted, leaving the audience wondering what these monsters eat for breakfast. As for Ard, even though he keeps winning easily, he is secretly plotting something incredibly shameless, losing on purpose in the most natural way possible. He knows that if he keeps winning and becomes champion, people will start investigating him, and his demon lord identity might get exposed. So his plan is to fake a graceful defeat in the finals. But life refuses to follow the script. In the final match of the preliminaries, Ginny has to face a massive powerhouse who is considered a top candidate to win the whole thing. The match starts, and this guy shows absolutely no mercy. He attacks Ginny non-stop, landing hit after hit until she collapses onto the stage in terrible shape. The crowd starts whispering, thinking the pink-haired girl is about to need an ambulance. Seeing his teammate getting crushed, Ard can't just stand there anymore, so he shouts toward the arena, not with soft encouragement, but with a harsh motivational slap, telling Ginny not to embarrass her teacher and to show that guy the power of friendship. Hearing Ard cheer for her, Ginny gets a full-power morale boost. Her eyes burn with determination, and she forgets the pain. She forces herself up, gathers every bit of strength she has, and launches a lightning-fast finishing move. Her huge opponent drops like a fallen tree, earning Ginny a shocking ticket to the next round. After Ginny's narrow victory, while everyone is taking a break, a group of students rushes over and begs Irina and Sylphie to help at the maid cafe because the customers are flooding in. The two girls reluctantly leave to handle cafe duty, leaving Ard and Ginny alone. Seeing this once-in-a-lifetime chance, Ginny immediately invites Ard to watch the beauty contest happening on the main stage. Ard isn't a fan of noisy places and tries to refuse by saying he has security patrol, but Ginny counters perfectly. The main stage has the biggest crowd, which means the highest chance of trouble, so Ard can patrol and enjoy the event at the same time. Add in Ginny's sparkling puppy eyes, and Ard has no choice but to nod while she drags him away. When they arrive, Ard suddenly notices a familiar figure hiding in the corner of the crowd. It's a chubby, orange-haired guy stuffing his face like he hasn't eaten in days. Looking closer, Ard realizes it is Iraldo, the arrogant noble brat he once taught a very painful lesson. Ard can barely believe his eyes. In such a short time, Iraldo has gained weight, lost all his old arrogance, and now looks timid and insecure. The moment Iraldo sees Ard, he jumps like his soul got unplugged and starts sweating like crazy. He quickly clasps his hands and begs for mercy, swearing that he has changed and hasn't done anything bad lately, so please don't beat him up. Ard finds his pathetic state almost funny, and after asking around, learns that Iraldo came here not to cause trouble, but to watch his idol Lilith perform. Right then, Ginny steps onto the beauty contest stage with overwhelming confidence, her bright smile making the crowd cheer loudly. Iraldo watches Ginny shine and feels deeply ashamed. He realizes that while the girl he once looked down on has grown stronger and more beautiful, he is changed only by gaining extra weight and regret. Iraldo then starts opening up to Ard about his dark past. He was born into a prestigious family, but suffered under the crushing pressure of a toxic father. Iraldo's father drilled into him the twisted idea that nobles are superior and should look down on the weak and those without royal blood. To escape that pressure, Iraldo took it out on Ginny, the girl serving his family, and ended up leaving deep scars on her childhood. But after Ard humbled him and Ginny grew stronger, Eraldo finally realized just how cowardly and wrong he had been. Ard asks if he plans to apologize to Ginny, but Eraldo lowers his head and admits he still doesn't have the courage to face her. After hearing his story, Ard feels a bit of sympathy, because he is also hiding the truth from Sylphie and carrying guilt from his past life. After the contest ends with Ginny's overwhelming victory, Eraldo quietly leaves, his lonely back full of regret. On stage, Ard and Ginny receive the Impressive Couple Award together, even though Ard basically just stood there as decoration. Holding the trophy, Ginny smiles brightly and says maybe she really does have some charm after all, and maybe she isn't useless like people said. Ard smiles, pats her head, and sincerely tells her that she is truly cute and talented, so she should always believe in herself. Being praised directly by Ard makes Ginny freeze up, her heart racing like crazy as life suddenly feels beautiful again. When the two return to the maid cafe, Ginny is welcomed by the boys like a queen, and the cafe is packed exactly as expected. However, Irina is sitting in the corner with the most jealous face in the world, upset that she missed the beauty contest with Ard and lost her chance to show off. Before anyone can relax, the Sword King battle finals begin, and fate has decided that Ard must face his own teacher, Olivia. This is a seriously dangerous matchup, because Olivia is a combat monster. Ard knows he can't go too easy unless he wants to get folded like laundry. The moment they step onto the stage, they clash like two storms, blades flashing and metal ringing loud enough to give everyone chills. Olivia's sword strikes are sharp and ruthless, forcing Ard closer and closer to the edge of the arena. At the most dangerous moment, when Olivia's blade is about to pierce him, Ard accidentally activates the defensive spell Magasith by pure reflex. A huge burst of energy erupts from his body and sends poor Olivia flying into the sky like a shooting star heading west. The entire arena goes dead silent, followed by the referee's whistle. The result? Ard is disqualified for using magic in a sword tournament, while Olivia also loses because she got ringed out and couldn't return in time. Ard just scratches his head awkwardly, but inside, he is celebrating because he somehow lost exactly like he wanted and eliminated the strongest opponent by accident. After Ard and Olivia's comedy disaster, the next match is a civil war between Irina and Ginny. The two best friends step onto the stage with sparks in their eyes. Sisterhood is gone. Only romantic rivalry remains. The match begins, and Ginny attacks first while constantly trash-talking to mess with Irina's head. The two girls fight and argue at the same time, loudly dragging their feelings for Ard into the open like they're fighting over a discount item at a supermarket. Ard, watching from the stands, wants to dig a hole and disappear. The battle is chaotic, but skill still matters. In the end, Irina defeats Ginny with one clean, decisive move, sending her crashing to the floor. Irina plants her hands on her hips and proudly declares that she is the one most suited to stand beside Ard. But even after losing, Ginny's mouth stays undefeated, and she swears she'll get revenge someday. While the whole stadium is busy enjoying the kids' romance drama, the mysterious masked figure watches from a hidden corner of the stands. He looks irritated because everything is going off script. Ard still hasn't been exposed, he keeps gaining strong allies, and the relationships around him are getting messier by the minute. The masked figure mutters curses, clearly preparing to step in himself and turn this fun festival into a real disaster. After the chaos of the maid cafe, Ard's class starts another equally ridiculous project. A stage play about Demon Lord Varvatos. Just imagine it. Ard, the actual reincarnated Demon Lord, is being forced to play his own past self. The secondhand pain is unreal. Through a vote that is democratic in name only, Ard reluctantly takes the role of the Demon Lord. Sylphie insists that Irina must play Lydia, because anyone else would insult her idol. As for the evil god-villain, nobody wants the cursed role, so Sylphie volunteers just so she can legally attack Ard on stage for revenge. A normal person waits years for revenge. Sylphie just schedules it into the school play. After the cast is decided, Ginny suggests recreating the legendary scene where Varvatos defeats the evil god. Sylphie is excited, but Ard starts sweating because he knows the real history has been heavily edited and seasoned with way too much fiction. On performance day, the audience fills the hall, waiting for the masterpiece. The play begins with Irina leading troops into battle, while Ard walks out in cool armor, internally suffering because the script is pure nonsense. The play accidentally triggers his memories of the real battle, which was far messier than the history books claim. In Ard's memory, past Sylphie wasn't some calm war goddess. She was a walking disaster. Back then, the enemy claimed they would rest for a day before fighting again, but that was obviously a scam. That night, Sylphie sneaked into Ard and Lydia's tent, stressing over whether she was useless. Ard had to comfort her and give her permission to act freely before she finally went to sleep. The next morning, when the enemy charged in with their holy sword, boom, the entire army exploded. Turns out Sylphie had secretly filled the whole battlefield with traps overnight, leaving no safe path for anyone. Even the great demon Lord Varvatos stepped on one of his own side's traps and got blasted black. Remembering this, Ard is both amused and annoyed by her deadly mix of enthusiasm and terrible planning. On stage, Sylphie acts the scene with so much passion that Ard feels like he's about to get blown up again, while the audience applauds like it's a genius plot twist. The play ends successfully, but Ard and Irina are still worried about the anonymous threat letter. Since nothing has happened, they start wondering if the sender was just trolling. Right then, Sylphie starts wandering around like her soul left her body, searching the school for a white-haired figure she thinks might be Lydia returning from the dead. But when she chases the figure to a quiet place, she finds only a suspicious masked man with the least trustworthy vibe imaginable. Ginny notices Sylphie acting strange and confidently declares that she must be about to confess to Ard. Ard is still unsure when Sylphie appears and asks him to meet her under the ancient Sword King tree after the tournament, which is basically the legendary confession setup. Before that mysterious meeting, the Sword King finals take place between Sylphie and Irina. The moment the referee starts the match, before the audience can even blink, Sylphie vanishes and appears behind Irina. 1 second later, Irina is down on the floor, completely unconscious. Sylphie wins at an absurd speed, but Ard notices something wrong. The aura around her is cold, cruel, and reeks of dark magic. That night, under the ancient tree, the atmosphere is painfully silent. Even though her head is still spinning, Irina insists on coming along because jealousy has no recovery time. When Ard arrives, Sylphie turns around with empty red eyes, holding her sword tightly. There is no confession. Instead, she declares that she will kill the demon lord and use his blood to unlock Lydia's sword. Sylphie draws the demise sword and attacks Ard like she's chopping vegetables. As Ard dodges, he realizes the masked man has poisoned her mind with fake news. He showed Sylphie a fake recording of Varvatos killing Lydia, turning her love for the demon lord into hatred. Ard only dodges and blocks because he doesn't want to hurt Sylphie, but this brainwashed version is attacking way too hard. Irina and Ginny rush in to stop her, but Sylphie sends them flying with a spinning kick, dropping both of them to the ground. When Sylphie tries to finish Irina off, Ard loses his patience and uses Dispel magic, but the curse sticks like superglue. With no other choice, Ard uses the ultimate lecture technique and imitates Lydia's terrifying voice to scold her little sister. Hearing that familiar, powerful voice, Sylphie freezes and struggles inside. Seeing his puppet about to break free, the masked man appears and tries to silence her with a sneak attack. Ard blocks the attack, stands firm like a wall, and coldly questions the coward who manipulates children. The masked man laughs and says he planned to use Sylphie to kill Ard and destroy the world. He rushes in with his sword, but Ard switches into ruthless mode. In a single pass, Ard cuts off one of his arms. The masked man realizes he can't win and tries to make the sword explode, taking the kingdom with it. But the sword has a will of its own, decides its owner is pathetic, and flies away from him towards Sylphie. Without his weapon, the masked man is finished. Ard borrows the power of Sylphie's sword, gathers a massive energy sphere, and launches him straight into the sky like a shooting star. After the trash is removed, Lydia's spirit appears from the sword, gently comforts Sylphie, tells her not to blame the demon lord because he is a good person, and fades away. After the school festival incident, Ard's class gets rewarded with a field trip. Officially, it's for practical learning, but really, it's a chance for the students to relax and the teachers to avoid work. Inside the fancy carriage, while everyone enjoys the scenery, Irina and Ginny start gambling in the corner. Yes, you heard that right. The two girls start playing cards to kill time, and Ginny's legendary bad luck strikes again. She loses every round, her face crumpling as her money walks straight into Irina's pocket. Ard watches and can only sigh. Gambling really is poverty with extra steps. Trying to recover her dignity, Ginny goes all in and draws the fated card. Unfortunately, she pulls a Dragon King card showing Veda and Lydia, but the artwork is absolutely criminal. The artists of this era have upgraded historical figures beyond recognition, giving everyone perfect curves, giant eyes, and heroic beauty completely different from Ard's rough memories. Ginny gets annoyed at the ridiculous historical exaggeration, throws the card on the floor, and stomps on it in frustration. The moment Ginny's foot touches the card, space suddenly freezes. Everything stops. Birds stop singing, the carriage stops moving, and the whole world looks like someone hit the pause button. Before they can understand what is happening, Ard, Irina, and Ginny are swallowed by a strange light and vanish from the carriage. When they wake up, they find themselves in an endless white space that feels like a waiting room before a boss fight. Standing before them is a mysterious boy with a child's appearance and the attitude of an old man. Ard suspects this might be some demon trick. The boy smiles mysteriously, calls himself a god, and starts giving a long lecture about parallel worlds. Basically, some dark force, which he calls that thing, is trying to hack reality and rewrite the natural order of the world. Ard hears all that and sums it up perfectly. So someone is breaking the rules. The young god explains that Ard's encounter with the masked man distorted the timeline and created a hole in history. Ard's mission is to fix the error and eliminate that thing, or they'll be stuck there forever. After saying that, the boy snaps his fingers, and the three are pulled away again. This time, they fall into a dense forest. Ard gets up, looks at the sky, and freezes when he sees two moons, one large, one small. His memories immediately come rushing back. In the present world, the moons have already merged after a major event. The fact that there are two moons means they have been sent back to the past, to the golden age when Demon Lord Varvatos was still ruling. Ard thinks this is bad because going back to the era when he was in charge means he may run into old acquaintances. While Ard is deep in thought, the two girls immediately start competing for attention. Seeing Ginny nervously cling to Ard's arm, Irina gets jealous and grabs his other arm. Ard is trapped between two soft pressures, both blessed and cursed, with no idea whether to laugh or cry. Just as things get awkward, a cry for help echoes from far away. The three rush over and find a giant death scorpion monster chasing a young woman. Ginny screams because the scorpion is 10 times bigger than anything at school. Ard quickly explains that ancient monsters are built different, bigger, stronger, and several times more violent. The scorpion raises its deadly tail to pierce the girl, and Ard, wanting to test his strength, rushes in. Without even bothering to chant, Ard punches the terrifying forest predator into dust, leaving absolutely nothing behind. The rescued girl scrambles up and thanks him, but when she raises her face, all three of them freeze. That face and hair are unmistakable. It's Olivia, but this is young Olivia, still fresh-faced and not yet the terrifying boss lady they know in the future. Ginny and Irina accidentally say their teacher's name, making Ard sweat bullets. He quickly covers their mouths and explains that they are just fans of a famous person with the same name. Young Olivia, still innocent, happily believes it. After seeing Ard's strength, Olivia, who is currently a scout in the Demon Lord's army, decides to recruit him. She leads the three to a magnificent city full of flying magic, nothing like the history books described. Ard thinks about the thing the god mentioned, while Olivia invites him to join the army because Demon Lord Varvatos needs people to fight the invading evil gods. Hearing his own name being praised feels nice, but Ard keeps a cool head. He wants access to the center of power to find where history went wrong, but he doesn't want the two girls used as shields. So Ard agrees to enlist only if Irina and Ginny can come with him and be assigned to Veda's support unit. Olivia is stunned that someone this powerful wants a support role, but Ard smoothly claims he loves peace and his friends are delicate scholars who need quiet. In reality, Ard knows Veda is one of the 4 heavenly kings and a researcher. Her lab may explode often, but it's still safer than the battlefield. When they arrive at Veda's lab, they don't even get to knock before a massive explosion blows the door away. From the wreckage, a messy-haired girl rushes out, covered in soot but smiling proudly because the explosion was apparently a success. Irina and Ginny look at this chaotic scientist, then at the beautiful woman on the historical card, and feel deeply betrayed. The real Veda hears them judging her and yells not to trust those fake historical portraits. With one snap of her fingers, the destroyed lab repairs itself instantly, proving she is a top-tier mage who breaks things fast and fixes them faster. After that disaster of an introduction, Veda invites the group in for tea. With her incredible intelligence, she quickly realizes Ard's group is not from this era. Ard decides to be honest and admits they came from the future to repair history. Veda gets wildly excited and promises to hide their identities, mostly because she wants to study future people. Just as things are getting fun, the door gets kicked open again. This time, past Sylphie storms in angrily, scolding Veda for causing explosions. Behind Sylphie walks a tall woman with a majestic, royal presence. The moment Ard sees her, his heart nearly stops. It is Lydia in the flesh, the closest friend he lost 1,000 years ago. Overwhelmed by emotion, Ard almost rushes forward to hug her, but barely holds himself back. Lydia enters and scolds Veda, demanding reinforcements because the war situation is getting worse. Veda smiles mischievously and points at Ard's group, saying she just recruited new soldiers. Lydia looks them over with sharp eyes, then suddenly stops at Ginny. Her serious expression disappears instantly, and Lydia turns into a shameless flirt, grabbing Ginny's hands and inviting her to her mansion tonight for a private talk. Ard, Irina, and Ginny are shocked to the core that the great legendary heroine is actually this much of a menace. Then Lydia starts getting way too friendly with Ginny. Ard can't take it anymore, steps in, knocks her hand away, and tells her to behave because this is a workplace, not a dating club. Having her fun interrupted, Lydia gets fired up and threatens to punch Ard into next week. Ard doesn't back down and glares right back. And just like that, what should have been an emotional reunion turns into a verbal fight between a dignity-obsessed demon lord and a shameless legendary general. Ard has boldly stood between Lydia and her happiness. On one side is the legendary female general, an undefeated war goddess whose name alone makes demons tremble. On the other is a country boy who just enlisted, but is secretly the reincarnated demon lord trying to hide his true power. Lydia is furious that her attempt to get closer to cute little Ginny has been blocked, and her temper immediately boils over. So she decides to drag Ard to the backyard for a private conversation using fists. The two charge at each other like angry fighting roosters, signaling a battle that will shake the earth, or more accurately, a very public family-style beatdown. The moment the fight begins, Lydia immediately shows off her street-fighting style. She draws her sword and rushes in with non-stop slashes, moving so fast that Ard has to work overtime just to block. While defending, Ard starts sweating bullets, realizing this woman is not sparring. One mistake and his head and body are getting a divorce. The battle drags on from broad daylight all the way until sunset. The two of them tear up the entire training yard. By the end, Ard is flattened on the ground, his face swollen like a steamed bun and his clothes ripped to shreds. Lydia is breathing heavily too, but after beating him half to death, she actually starts liking the kid. She realizes that even though he talks a little too much, he is tough, skilled, and surprisingly impressive in real combat. When Ard finally crawls up and tries to escape, Lydia calls him back, pats his shoulder, and offers to take him to the front lines with her. She says burying his talent in the support unit would be a complete waste. That night, while the girls are bathing together and having a suspiciously warm bonding moment, Ard is busy thinking about the coming war. But hearing all that cozy conversation from the side makes him bitter, because honestly, that bathing spot should have been his. Not long after, the final order to deploy is finally given. Everyone gathers together, the atmosphere burning with battle spirit like they're going to war and a music festival at the same time. Seeing the rough-looking soldiers holding shining weapons, Irina starts getting nervous, wondering if the group will even survive this nightmare. Seeing her face turn pale, Ard immediately switches into Big Brother mode and tries to calm her down. He explains that their unit will stay far behind the brutal front lines, and they'll be equipped with high-quality defensive magic gear, so she should treat it like a paid field trip instead of panicking. During the march, Ard's sharp ears pick up a conversation between Lydia and her subordinates, giving him a clear picture of how tense the war really is. Right now, Varvado's demon forces are locked in a massive fight against the Outer Ones, ugly foreign monsters that are both toxic and annoyingly arrogant. Their destination is the Azalea Plains, one of the most important strategic regions. In the past, demons ruled this place peacefully, but recently the monsters invaded, destroyed fortress after fortress, and turned the whole area into the world's largest trash heap. The moment they arrive at the gathering point, the battlefield spreads before them, both magnificent and terrifying. Veda, the resident mad scientist, deploys her battle robots to mow down monsters like harvesters cutting through a field. Lydia, living up to her title as a general, leads the vanguard straight into the enemy formation. Beside her is past Sylphie, and even without brainwashing, her raw violence is already dangerously close to the future version. She swings her sword and cuts off monster heads like she's chopping vegetables, blood flying everywhere while her face doesn't change at all. While the main army is fighting up front in a storm of fire and smoke, Ard, Irina, and Ginny are stuck in the back doing boring support work. Their job is to transport food, medicine, and help treat the wounded. Irina and Ginny struggle to carry heavy crates, sweating like crazy and complaining about why their lives have to be this miserable. Suddenly, with the instincts of a demon lord who has survived countless battles, Ard senses something is wrong. He notices an unusual movement in the enemy formation. One enemy unit has secretly bypassed Lydia's main defense line and is heading straight toward the weak support team. Everyone! Ard shouts a warning, startling the entire group. But before anyone can even understand what's happening, a massive enemy general, looking like a hippo mixed with a wild boar, charges in on a giant war beast. This is General Bogan, a brutal and arrogant commander from the Outer Ones, infamous for eating humans. Bogan looks down at the weak support soldiers with absolute contempt. He laughs like he just found free food. Today, he says, he'll crush them all to make this detour worth it. Irina and Ginny turn pale with fear. The two girls cling to each other, trembling like leaves. The nearby support soldiers aren't doing any better. The moment they see the giant monster of a man, they drop their supplies and run for their lives. Bogan gets even more excited by the chaos. He raises his massive spiked club and prepares to smash Ginny's head in one blow. But just as death is inches away, someone suddenly steps in front of the girls. Of course, it's Ard. Ard stands there like a god, both hands in his pockets, His face remains calm as he watches the raging general charge toward him. Inside his head, he starts calculating quickly. This is the perfect chance to show off. If he defeats this giant boss, it will count as a major achievement, and he might finally earn the chance to meet the Demon Lord. Seeing a tiny kid block his path, Bogan laughs and says Ard must be tired of living, so he'll send him to the afterlife early. He puts all his strength into the club strike. He plans to turn Ard into meat paste, but unfortunately for Bogan, he has picked a fight with someone using cheat codes. Ard doesn't even bother dodging. He simply activates a gravity magic circle he secretly placed under Bogan's feet. With a massive crash, overwhelming pressure slams down like an entire mountain landing on his shoulders. Bogan is crushed flat into the mud, unable to move even a finger, staring at Ard in terror, completely unable to understand what just happened. Ard slowly walks over, looks down at the helpless general like a worm under a boot, and smirks. Sorry, buddy. You're big, but your brain is a little underleveled. Once you step into my trap, the only thing left to do is take a nap. Right after Ard finishes the boss, Lydia and Sylphie rush over from the distance. They heard the support unit was ambushed and came running to help. But when they arrive, they find Bogan, the enemy they had been hunting for ages, already defeated under Ard's feet. Sylphie looks at the corpse, then at Ard, her face twisting like she just lost a winning lottery ticket. She screams because Ard stole the kill she had been planning to use for experience points and Demon Lord approval. She had spent so much effort forcing Bogan into a trap, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, only for a brand new support soldier to shamelessly take the glory. Ard just plays dumb and scratches his head. He says he barely touched the guy and Bogan just dropped like a weakling. Lydia, however, looks at Ard completely differently now, with both admiration and intense curiosity. She knows Bogan was no small fry, so defeating him this easily proves that Ard has terrifying power. She slaps him on the shoulder and laughs proudly. With an achievement this huge, Varvatos will definitely notice you now. Better prepare yourself. Tomorrow, I'll personally take you to meet the Demon Lord. Hearing that, Ard freezes with excitement. His most important goal is finally within reach. Irina and Ginny sigh in relief, looking at Ard with admiration like he's their personal hero. The group quickly cleans up the battlefield and prepares to return to base for a celebration. After his absurd display of power, Ard goes from nameless recruit to camp celebrity overnight. Every soldier who passes by points and whispers about the babyface guy who can kill monsters with one hit. Thanks to that very convincing kill steal, the next day Ard receives a VIP ticket to meet Demon Lord Varvatos, which means meeting his own past self. And yeah, that feels extremely weird. It's like looking into a mirror, except the guy in the mirror is richer, stronger, and judging you from a throne. Ard, Irina, Ginny, Lydia, and the chaotic little menace Sylphie all head toward the capital. The moment they arrive, they see a magnificent Gothic castle radiating wealth, power, and intimidating main boss energy. Irina and Ginny stare in awe, calling it a masterpiece of architecture. Ard walks beside them with quiet pride, thinking his old taste in design was actually pretty good. But Sylphie immediately ruins the mood, saying the castle looks cheap compared to Lydia's mansion. Ard freezes, wondering if Sylphie's taste is so broken that she prefers Lydia's rough style over this elegant palace. He even suspects Lydia might have brainwashed her, making him shake his head at the tragedy of human taste. Ginny notices things are going too smoothly and says this is usually when trouble happens. Naturally, she jinxes it immediately. A fireball the size of an industrial rice cooker comes flying at them at terrifying speed. Before anyone can react, Ard calmly steps forward and catches it like a toy ball. The fireball disappears, and Ard dusts off his hand like nothing happened. The culprit appears, Avato, one of the Demon Lord's trusted subordinates, a hot-headed show-off with serious attack-first energy. He laughs awkwardly and says he was just showing respect in his own way. Lydia is about to jump in and fight him, but the castle doors open, and an overwhelming pressure fills the air, silencing everyone. From the darkness steps a tall man with sculpted features, sharp eyes, and a powerful black cloak. It is none other than Varvatos himself, the premium original version. Ginny nearly faints from excitement, while Irina freezes at his overwhelming beauty. As for Ard, he looks at himself with mixed feelings. Jealous of how cool he looks, but also amused by that arrogant expression. Varvatos threatens to throw Avato out if he causes more trouble, then invites Ard's group inside to talk. On the way, Lydia keeps teasing Ard, saying he must be thrilled to meet his idol, then adds that Varvatos is actually pretty lonely. Ard can only smile awkwardly, thinking, "Lady, your idol is literally walking right beside you." Once they enter the reception room, Irina praises Varvatos' beauty as if he's a masterpiece. But when Ginny calls him the Demon Lord, Varvatos raises an eyebrow and asks why they called him that. Then comes the real slap in the face. He says he is Varvatos, ruler of this land, but the Demon Lord is someone else. Ard jumps up in complete confusion. History clearly recorded him as the one and only Demon Lord, so where did this extra guy come from? Veda suggests a shocking theory. The timeline has been altered, creating an unknown Demon Lord who never existed in history. Ard pieces everything together and realizes the god's mission to eliminate that thing must mean defeating this fake Demon Lord. Veda explains that the mysterious figure appeared 3 years ago and is insanely powerful. Even Varvatos fought him before, but only managed to draw. Ard plans to build more trust through another achievement before making his move. Just then, Lydia storms in, grabs Ard by the collar, and drags him to the front lines because the Origin King, Mevelas, is running wild. Hearing Mevelas' name, Ard's face turns pale. This is his sworn enemy, the one who killed Lydia in his original timeline. Ard clenches his fist and swears he won't let history repeat itself. But when they push deep into the enemy fortress, they find a horrifying scene. Mevelas is already dead, his head lying on the ground. From the sea of flames, a black armored figure steps out. A wicked aura pours from him as he looks down on Ard's group and declares himself the Demon Lord, saying this land belongs to him. Ard senses a terrifyingly familiar power from the imposter but stays silent. After making his declaration, the figure disappears into the night, leaving everyone with one massive question. The next day, Ard's group is summoned to a roundtable meeting with the top commanders of the demon army to discuss how to deal with this fake Demon Lord. The moment they arrive, the 7 high-ranking generals look at Ard's group like trash, furious that 3 strangers dare sit among the leaders. They loudly object, mocking Ard as too young and unqualified to discuss serious military matters. But Varvatos slams the table and shuts the arrogant generals down instantly. He declares that no one is allowed to ignore Ard's group's achievements, then announces a completely insane all-in plan. A full-scale attack on the enemy stronghold to eliminate the fake Demon Lord in a single day. The 7 generals turn pale, worried that if they send all their forces, their base will be left wide open. If the enemy uses a bait and switch and attacks from behind, they'll be finished. But Varvatos stays arrogant and insists on a fast, decisive strike to settle the fate of the world in one battle. Avado and Lydia get fired up by the order to march, their battle spirit practically exploding. Meanwhile, Ard quietly wonders where his past self got the confidence to face an enemy rumored to be immortal. Varvatos reads Ard's thoughts, smirks mysteriously, and says he'll understand in 3 days when the battle begins. Back at the mansion, Ard asks Latima what Lydia is doing and learns that she is busy coordinating troops for the coming war. Sitting alone in his room, Ard feels deeply conflicted. He knows history has been hacked. People who were supposed to die early are dying differently, and Lydia is still alive. The god wants him to correct history and return everything to its original path, but that would mean sending Lydia to her death all over again. Ard shudders. He truly doesn't want that. Part of him even wants to ignore the god and keep this reality where Lydia survives. While he is lost in thought, a cold voice speaks from behind him, saying that changing fate is not easy, and in the end, Lydia will meet the same tragic end. Ard turns around in shock and sees the mysterious fake Demon Lord from before leaning against the wall. When the man slowly removes his hood, Ard is left completely speechless. That face, those eyes, the self-proclaimed Demon Lord, his current greatest enemy, looks exactly like Ard. With a bitter smile, he reveals the shocking truth. He and Ard are the same. He is also Varvatos, but from another world, a much darker and more broken timeline. Even though he is the same Demon Lord, his name is Irina. Irina begins telling Ard about his tragic life. In his world, he was also an overwhelming Demon Lord, but everything he touched eventually fell apart. Tired of living, he destroyed his old body and reincarnated as Irina, hoping for a better fate. He made a contract with the mysterious god for one obsessive goal: to save Lydia. He bitterly explains that he is cursed with loneliness. Anyone he gets close to eventually dies. He knows that in this world, Ard will also lose Lydia during the battle against the Outer Ones. Unable to accept watching her die again, Irina decides to reset the server and destroy this world to change fate. Hearing this, Ard gets truly angry. So this guy is willing to throw the whole world into the trash just to save one girl. Irina screams that Ard knows nothing about people like them. He asks why Ard never warned Lydia about her death, allowing her to charge alone into enemy territory and die horribly. Consumed by regret, he chose to become a villain hated by the world, hoping to eventually die by Lydia's hand as a form of release. He invites Ard to join his miserable cause and save her, no matter what it takes. Ard stands at a crossroads, almost ready to side with the villain, until Lydia's voice echoes in his mind and snaps him back. Irina clicks his tongue and gives Ard 3 days to think, telling him to meet at the Deadwind Wasteland before vanishing. Over the next few days, Ard is weighed down by his thoughts and quietly asks Latima what she would choose if forced to pick between Lydia and the world. Without hesitation, Latima says she would gladly burn the world for Lydia. That answer only makes Ard more confused, because apparently everyone here is part of Lydia's fan club. Later in the dining hall, Ard sees Sylphie eating like a starving beast while Ginny kindly checks on him, reminding him of how he lied about being the demon lord and filling him with guilt. Suddenly, Lydia appears and drags Ard out. After taking him out to eat until he's full, she starts lecturing him about women, saying he should be a little more mischievous and seduce a few more girls to become a real man. Ard gets annoyed and snaps back, telling her to shut up and worry about herself first. So the two start fighting in the middle of the street like siblings who love each other but communicate exclusively through violence. After they're done, Lydia turns serious and brings Ard to a ruined city from her dark past. Lydia explains that long ago, to protect her comrades, she had to wipe out this entire city. Standing among the screaming ghosts, she admits she is a killer, a monster covered in blood, and after creating a happier world, she will go to hell to pay for her sins. Ard's heart tightens as he realizes she is not naive at all. She has already accepted her tragic death as atonement and doesn't want anyone to save her. Ard asks if she has ever thought about the feelings of those left behind, but she only gives him a sad, determined smile. At that moment, Ard finds his answer for Irina. He will not interfere. He will respect Lydia's choice to atone, even if it means losing her again. The decisive battle begins, and the battlefield is swallowed in smoke and fire. Veda unleashes giant robots to wreck the enemy ranks. Young Olivia cuts through the battlefield with her sword, and Avado keeps running his mouth while fighting. Irina's army is packed with countless terrifying monsters, so the original Varvatos opens a spatial gate and sucks them into the void, clearing a path for his forces. In the chaos, Ard quietly leaves the group to meet Irina. At the meeting point, Irina asks for his final answer. Save Lydia, or let her die? Ard looks him in the eye and says he refuses because he respects her choice. Irina screams that Ard doesn't understand loss and attacks. Two demon lord powers collide, creating earth-shaking explosions. But because they are essentially the same person and know each other's moves, the fight goes nowhere. Irina smirks and reveals his immortality hack. He split his soul from his body and hid his life core in an intermediate vessel, making his body indestructible. To kill him, that core must be destroyed at close range. A pretty brutal rule for anyone trying to flip the table. Meanwhile, back at base, Irina and Ginny are standing on a balcony, looking more depressed than ever. The two girls feel like useless decorations left behind in a high-level battle between monsters. Just then, Latima's little sister, Lulu, appears with a serious expression and delivers an important message. Ard has ordered them to move out immediately. The scene shifts to a dark night, with the three girls rushing through a dangerous forest. As they run, Irina asks Latima what this plan even is and why they're in such a hurry. Latima explains that Ard has figured out the secret behind Demon Lord Irina's immortality. Their goal is to break into the castle and destroy the vessel holding his soul. She explains that this soul-splitting technique separates soul and body, sealing the soul inside an object and turning him into an immortality glitch. To erase him, both body and soul must be destroyed at the same time. But because he split them apart, he's basically immortal. However, the technique has two major weaknesses. The soul and body cannot be too far apart, and if the vessel is destroyed, the Demon Lord is instantly finished. Ard's plan is terrifyingly clever. Use Varvatos' army as bait, creating a massive battle outside to pull the enemy's attention away. While the enemy soldiers are busy losing their minds out there, the three girls will sneak through a secret tunnel Ard already scouted and carry out the sabotage mission. Irina gets fired up and tells everyone to move fast so they can show off in front of her beloved Ard. While they're moving, Latima suddenly yells for the other two to get down. A sword slash barely misses them, cutting her leg badly and making her collapse. Latima tells them to keep going and leave her behind so she can hold off the enemies surrounding them. Back on the outside battlefield, the sky is lit up like daylight from endless magical artillery. A giant robot appears and fires a green laser, sending wave after wave of demons straight to the afterlife. On top of that robot sits Sylphie, proudly commanding the fight, while on the ground Varvatos and the human army charge forward, clashing with the terrifying purple monsters. Elsewhere, the two girls have already made it deep inside the castle. Irina and Ginny finally find the vessel, a giant pink crystal radiating heavy, sinister magic. They are sure this is the thing they need to destroy to send the demon lord to the afterlife early. But just as they're about to strike, magical chains fly in from nowhere, binding their arms and legs and hanging them from two huge wooden frames. Even worse, all of their magic is completely sealed, leaving them unable to fight back. And the one behind this dirty trick is none other than Latima, who had just pretended to sacrifice herself but now appears with an ice-cold expression. Meanwhile, on the main battlefield, Ard is directly facing the Demon Lord. A huge magic screen appears in the air, live-streaming Irina and Ginny tied up in the dungeon under Latima's watch. The Demon Lord smugly threatens Ard, telling him to kneel, surrender, and join him, or watch his friends suffer. Back in the ruined castle, Traitor Latima says this is all part of the plan to save Lydia, and the two girls are just cheap tools being used to force Ard's hand. Ginny, however, is not the type to get bullied quietly. She snaps back that Latima is the idiot here, while she and Irina are used to dangerous situations by now. Then the two girls shout together and compress their magic, blowing apart the chains in a smoke-filled explosion that catches Latima off guard. But Latima still refuses to stop and summons a group of ugly monsters to finish off the two stubborn girls. Just when things are getting dangerously close, a familiar voice suddenly rings out, freezing everyone in place. A blinding light bursts from the pink crystal, blowing away the monsters as Lydia's spirit officially appears. Lydia looks at Latima with deep disappointment and asks why she would betray her comrades and harm children in such a cowardly way. Latima completely breaks down, collapsing to the ground in tears and saying she did everything for Lydia because she didn't want to lose the person she loved most. She blindly believed Demon Lord Irina's promise that he could save Lydia if she helped him. Hearing this confession hurts Lydia deeply, but she remains firm as a true hero. Without hesitation, Lydia swings her sword and shatters the crystal into countless pieces. Back on the battlefield, the moment the soul vessel is destroyed, Demon Lord Irina suddenly freezes mid-laugh. He feels every magical connection snap, and his immortal protection disappears. He realizes he has officially lost his immortality and is now just a creature that can bleed and die. But instead of fear, the Demon Lord grows even more insane, like a cornered beast with nowhere left to run. He screams in despair, asking why Lydia would destroy her own chance to live when he committed all these sins just to save her. Facing this broken version of himself, Ard feels both pity and anger at how blind he has become. Ard yells that the Demon Lord has lost his way. He never truly listened to what Lydia wanted. He only wanted to save himself from guilt by pretending to save her. Hit right where it hurts, the Demon Lord releases all his remaining magic and transforms into a massive shadow monster, ready to drag the entire world down with him. Ard realizes words won't fix this guy anymore, so he goes all in and activates his full overpower mode. His whole body shines like a final form Super Saiyan, the light overwhelming the darkness. The two clash in an earth-shaking battle that truly feels like a fight between gods. Every impact sends shockwaves across the land, blowing away hills and cracking the ground apart. In the middle of the battle, the Demon Lord cries while talking about the old doomed day, when he begged Lydia to stop fighting, only for her to call him a cowardly traitor. He regrets letting her go to her death, and now he wants to do anything, even destroy the world, just to say one late apology. This is the tragedy of a man who simped way beyond legal limits. The cold Demon Lord is really just a broken man who failed in love and is desperately trying to hold on to the past. The Demon Lord pours all his remaining power into one final attack, trying to take Ard down with him. But just as the two are about to collide, a warm light appears from nowhere, and Lydia's transparent spirit stands between them. She looks at the Demon Lord with gentle eyes, carrying no hatred or resentment. He immediately stops, trembling and crying as he asks if this is a dream. Lydia smiles softly and tells him she has always been there. The appearance of the woman he loved completely drains his will to fight. He has lost completely, but he feels incredibly relieved, as if a 1,000-year burden has finally been lifted. His body begins to dissolve into sparkling particles of light. With a peaceful smile, he thanks his other self and tells Ard to live on for him and take good care of Lydia. After the Demon Lord officially logs out, the space around them starts shaking violently, and Ard, Irina, and Ginny begin glowing. Their time in the past is over. The mission to repair history has been completed. The living Lydia runs toward them, smiling brightly and waving, asking whether the future is happy. Irina and Ginny tearfully shout that the future is wonderful, and everyone is living happily. Then white light surrounds everything and pulls them back to the present. When they open their eyes, they are back inside the familiar field trip carriage. Everything looks normal, as if nothing ever happened. The journey into the past feels like a strange long dream, but they know it was real because the emotions in their hearts are still burning. The mysterious young god appears again in Ard's mind, saying he only wanted to help him release the weight of his past and claims to be his ally. In the carriage, Irina tightly holds Ard's hand as if afraid he might disappear again, passing on Lydia's message and declaring that no matter how painful the past or stormy the future becomes, they will always be precious to each other. Ard looks at his wonderful friends and smiles with relief. He feels Lydia's soul still watching over him, gently pushing him forward. The lonely demon lord of the past is truly gone. Now only Ard remains, a normal guy living a normal life, even if he is still ridiculously overpowered and surrounded by beautiful girls.